My brothers and sisters, sometimes we sit alone at night and the tears flow without permission. We look at our lives and wonder, why is this happening to me? Why is the solution taking so long? And in those moments, we forget one powerful truth. The one who created your heart knows exactly what is breaking it. You worry because you see the problem. But Allah, Almighty, All-Wise, sees the solution. There are matters you cry about today that Allah has already written the ending for. You just haven't reached that chapter yet. While you are tossing and turning at night, He is already guiding hearts, shifting circumstances, opening doors you don't even know exist. My brothers and sisters, never confuse silence with absence. When Allah is quiet, He is not ignoring you. He is preparing something for you. Sometimes the cure takes time because Allah wants you to grow before He gives. He wants you to learn patience, strengthen your dua, build reliance upon Him, and realize that true peace comes only from Him. If everything came instantly, we would forget Him instantly. Remember this, when you say, Ya Allah, I am struggling, Allah says, I know, and I am with you. The worry in your chest, it subsides the moment you surrender it to the one who controls the universe. Tell yourself, if Allah can turn night into day, He can turn my pain into ease. If He can split the sea for Musa, He can split a path for me. Your job is not to figure out how Allah will fix it. Your job is to trust that He will. You may not see the wisdom now, but one day you will look back and say, Alhamdulillah, that things happened exactly the way they did. Because the delay that hurt you was the delay that saved you. So stop worrying. Wipe your tears. You are not alone. Allah has already taken charge of what you fear, already protected you from what you don't see, already softened hearts you thought were unmovable, and already placed your risk where it belongs. All you have to say is, I trust you, Allah, and keep moving. The truth that Allah's knowledge encompasses every pain you carry is one of the most comforting realities a believer can hold on to. Yet it is something we often forget when life becomes heavy. We sometimes imagine that our silent tears, our hidden anxieties, the thoughts that keep us awake at night, or the emotions we bury deep inside will remain unnoticed, unacknowledged, or misunderstood by the world. And perhaps they will. People can only see what you show them. They can only understand what you express. They can only guess, assume, or interpret what you choose to reveal. But Allah does not need you to speak, explain, or clarify. He already knows. He knows the wound before you describe the pain. He knows the fear before you express the worry. He knows the heaviness in your heart, even when you try to smile through it. When you truly internalize that the Lord who created you is fully aware of every detail of your struggle, something inside you softens. The burden does not disappear immediately, but it becomes lighter because you are no longer carrying it alone. Think about it. Every tear you've cried in private was seen by Him. Every moment you wondered whether you could continue, He witnessed. Every whisper of dua you made under your breath, thinking it might be too small or insignificant, was heard clearly by the one who misses nothing. Sometimes you may even feel embarrassed to complain to Allah because you think your problems are too many or too repetitive. Yet He never tires of hearing your voice. He never gets frustrated with your repeated requests. He never treats your pain as insignificant. There are days when you feel overwhelmed and words don't come out properly. You sit on your prayer mat and your mind is scattered. Your heart feels disconnected and your emotions are tangled in ways you can't articulate. Even in that state, Allah knows exactly what you need. Your silence in dua is not confusion. It is still a form of worship. Your tears are not weakness. They are a sign that your heart is alive and turning back to its Creator. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all because Allah understands what your heart is saying far more clearly than your tongue ever could. Many of us go through experiences that we don't tell anyone about. Moments of betrayal, sudden losses, disappointments, heartbreaks, financial struggles, mental battles, and spiritual dips. We fear being judged, misunderstood, or burdensome. So we stay quiet, thinking that silence is safer. But even in your silence, Allah knows. He knows whether your heart is trembling with fear or your mind is racing with negative thoughts. He knows when you pretend to be strong for the people around you while internally begging for relief. He knows your needs before you even recognize them yourself. When something hurts you so deeply that you don't know how to move forward, Allah knows the full story, not the version you can explain, not the portion you can understand, but the full reality. He knows the past that shaped you, the present that challenges you, and the future that awaits you. He knows which moments broke you, which words wounded you, and which experiences left scars on your heart. And His knowledge is not merely awareness, it is knowledge wrapped in wisdom, mercy, and compassion. He does not just know what you feel, He understands it with divine precision and responds to it with divine mercy. Imagine someone who knows everything about you, your fears, hopes, secrets, and weaknesses, and still chooses to love you more than you love yourself. That is Allah. He does not love you because you are perfect. He loves you because He created you. And His mercy is far greater than your flaws. So when you feel like no one understands, remind yourself that Allah does. When you feel invisible, remind yourself that Allah sees you. When you feel unheard, remind yourself that Allah hears you. When you feel lost, remind yourself that Allah knows the way for you even when you do not. His knowledge of your pain is not passive. It is not like someone watching from a distance. When Allah knows that your heart is aching, He is already preparing comfort for you. When He sees that you're struggling, He is already guiding you toward relief. His awareness is not detached, it is active involvement in your life. He knows the right moment to lift you, the right path to guide you, and the right doors to open for you. There are times you may think you've been forgotten, but the truth is Allah has been protecting in ways you haven't even realized. Sometimes the things you wanted but didn't receive were acts of mercy. Sometimes the doors that closed in your face saved you from deeper harm. Sometimes the people who walked away made space for the ones who were meant to stay. Sometimes the slow unfolding of your life is simply Allah's gentle way of preparing you for something better. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by what is happening inside you, remind yourself, even if no one understands, Allah does. Even if no one sees your struggle, Allah does. Even if no one hears your silent cries, Allah does. And the one who knows is the same one who heals. The same one who tests is the one who protects. The same one who withholds is the one who gives. And He never ever leaves you alone in your pain. Every delay from Allah holds a hidden mercy, though in the moment it may feel like confusion, disappointment, or even rejection. Human beings are naturally impatient. We want immediate answers, instant relief, quick resolutions. When we make dua, we expect the response to arrive in the form and timing we imagine. And when it doesn't, we begin to question, why is it taking so long? Why is nothing changing? Why does everyone else seem to move forward while I remain stuck? But what we forget is that Allah's timing is not based on our emotions. It is based on His perfect wisdom. He sees what we cannot see. He knows what we do not know. He protects us from things we don't even realize we need protection from. Sometimes the delay we complain about is actually the shield that saves us. Think about moments in your life where you desperately wanted something and later you realized that not receiving it was the best thing that could have happened. At the time, you were convinced that your happiness depended on it, whether it was a job, a relationship, a move, an opportunity, or a plan you built your life around. You prayed for it, planned for it, imagined it, and perhaps even cried for it. But Allah held it back. And at that time, that delay felt painful. It felt like your life was on pause. But later, you saw the bigger picture. What you thought was good for you would have harmed you, weakened your faith, distracted your heart, or pushed you in a direction that was never meant for you. This is how Allah works. His delay is not a denial, it is a gentle redirection. He withholds because He knows the unseen. Imagine a child running towards something dangerous because it looks attractive. The parent quickly stops the child, and the child cries, not understanding why something so appealing is being taken away. But the parent sees what the child cannot. In a far more perfect and merciful way, Allah sees the harm hidden behind what you desire. You cry for something limited while He prepares something far better, something long-lasting, something that brings true peace rather than temporary excitement. When Allah delays the arrival of blessings, He is also teaching you about yourself. He builds your patience, strengthens your resilience, and deepens your connection with Him. Through waiting, He teaches you to rely on Him, not on timelines, not on people, not on circumstances. Through delay, He cleans your heart of hurried expectations and fills it with trust. You begin to understand that your timeline is not superior to His, and your understanding of what is best is limited. The longer you wait with faith, the stronger your iman becomes. And that strengthening is itself a hidden mercy. Sometimes Allah delays a blessing because you are not ready for it yet. If it arrived earlier, it might overwhelm you or slip through your fingers. When you ask for something, Allah may say yes, but in His own time. When your heart is mature, when your character is refined, when your intentions are pure, when your faith is firm. The blessing you seek may be ready for you, but Allah may be making you ready for the blessing. And preparation takes time. Just as a seed cannot become a tree overnight, your life cannot transform without seasons of growth. Delays are not empty gaps. They are fertile periods where Allah shapes your character and prepares you for what He has written for. There are moments when Allah delays to elevate you spiritually. When you are forced to wait, you turn to Him more often, your dua becomes deeper, and your sincerity increases. A heart that is humbled through waiting becomes capable of recognizing blessings when they finally arrive. Without delay, you might take ease for granted. But when you've tasted difficulty, relief feels sweeter and you appreciate every small gift. This gratitude itself is part of the hidden mercy. Allah's delay can also be a protection from arrogance. Imagine if every dua of yours was answered instantly. You might begin to believe that blessings come from your own effort, your own intelligence, your own plans. Waiting reminds you that you are not the one in control, that everything you receive comes from Allah's grace, not your ability. This realization protects your heart from pride, which is a spiritual disease far more dangerous than any material setback. Sometimes the delay is there because the blessing you seek depends on the movement of many other events. Things involving other people, other circumstances, or other decisions. Allah is aligning hearts, adjusting situations, and softening paths in ways you cannot see. While you feel like nothing is happening, everything is happening behind the scenes. Allah is orchestrating a solution that will unfold at the perfect moment. If it came earlier, it would not fit. If it came later, it might be missed. It comes exactly when Allah decrees. The hidden mercy in delay is also found in the peace that eventually comes. When Allah finally grants you what you prayed for, you will often look back and say, now I understand why it took so long. You will realize that the timing was perfect. The way everything fell into place was miraculous, and the outcome was far better than anything you could have planned for yourself. And in that moment, you will feel grateful that Allah's wisdom prevailed over your impatience. So the next time you feel something is delayed, remind yourself that Allah is not depriving you. He is protecting you, preparing you, and arranging something better for you. His delay is a sign of His love, not His distance. His timing is perfect, even when your understanding is limited. And His plan is beautiful, even when the process feels difficult. Trust Him, for every pause in your life carries a hidden mercy waiting to unfold. Worry is one of the heaviest burdens a human heart can carry. It is a weight that clouds the mind, weakens the soul, and robs us of the peace that Allah intends for His servants. Every one of us has experienced moments when our hearts raced with anxiety, when our thoughts spiraled out of control, and when fear of the unknown seemed stronger than our faith. But the truth is that worry is not a solution. It does not change the circumstances, and it does not add a single moment of benefit to our lives. On the contrary, it drains us, distracts us, and distances us from the one who is fully capable of solving our problems. The key to overcoming worry lies in turning to Allah with complete trust, placing our reliance in Him, and letting our hearts rest in the knowledge that He is in control. When we worry excessively, we act as if the responsibility for solving our problems lies solely on our own shoulders. We forget that Allah is the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the one who manages the affairs of the universe with perfect wisdom. Our anxieties, no matter how consuming, cannot add or remove a single outcome unless Allah wills it. By holding on to worry, we are essentially doubting His knowledge, His wisdom, and His power. We think that our perspective is more accurate than the Creator's, that our plans are better than His plans, and that our timing is more perfect than His timing. And yet every single thing that happens in the universe, from the orbit of the planets to the beating of a butterfly's wings, is under His command. How can we, limited and fragile, believe that worry will somehow improve upon His perfect control? Tawakkul, or reliance upon Allah, is the antidote to worry. It is not a passive state of waiting. It is an active trust that everything that happens is under His knowledge and control. When we place our reliance in Allah, we acknowledge that our power is limited, that our understanding is incomplete, and that our hearts and minds are in the hands of the one who knows best. Tawakkul is not about giving up effort. It is about combining effort with trust. We plan, we work, we strive, but we do so with the certainty that the outcome rests with Allah. This combination of action and trust is what lightens the heart and brings peace to the soul. When worry tries to invade, reliance reminds us that nothing escapes Allah's knowledge and nothing occurs without His permission. There is a profound beauty in realizing that worry is unnecessary because Allah is always aware of our struggles. Every fear, every insecurity, every unknown factor that keeps us awake at night is already seen by Him. He does not sleep, He does not forget, and He does not ignore. When we acknowledge this reality, we begin to understand that our anxious thoughts are futile. While we are preoccupied with what ifs and maybes, Allah is already orchestrating the circumstances of our lives in the most precise and merciful way. Every difficulty we face, every obstacle that seems insurmountable is already within His plan, and He knows the best timing, the best resolution, and the best path for us. The more we internalize this, the more our hearts become calm and the more our minds become free from unnecessary fear. Worry also weakens the heart because it distracts us from what is truly important, our connection with Allah. When we are consumed by fear and anxiety, we forget to turn to Him in dua, in remembrance, and in gratitude. We become preoccupied with imagining the worst case scenarios, questioning our worth, and planning for contingencies that may never happen. This mental and emotional exhaustion distances us from spiritual nourishment. On the other hand, reliance upon Allah strengthens the heart. It is like a spiritual exercise that expands patience, deepens trust, and brings tranquility. A heart that relies on Allah is a heart that can face trials without despair, that can endure challenges without collapse, and that can remain hopeful even when circumstances seem bleak. Another reason worry is harmful is that it often focuses on things beyond our control. We spend energy fretting over outcomes, people's actions, and future events that we cannot influence. Yet when we shift our focus toward reliance on Allah, we redirect that energy toward productive action, sincere dua, good deeds, and positive effort. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, we begin to take steps that are meaningful while trusting that the results are in Allah's hands. This balance between effort and trust is what transforms a life of constant anxiety into a life of peace, purpose, and spiritual strength. Consider also that worry is often rooted in a lack of faith, even a slight one. It is the whisper that says, what if things don't go my way? What if I fail? What if I am abandoned? Yet the believer who trusts Allah knows that failure is never final, loss is never absolute, and abandonment is impossible when the Creator is by your side. Life's difficulties become tests and opportunities rather than sources of despair. When we rely on Allah, worry does not vanish instantly, but its grip loosens and our hearts learn to rest in His wisdom. Finally, reliance on Allah reminds us that the outcomes we fear may not even be the best path for us. Sometimes our worries revolve around what we desire most, but Allah knows better than we do what is beneficial and what is harmful. What we fear might be exactly what we need, and what we long for might be withheld because it would hurt us. By trusting Allah, we acknowledge that His perspective is infinite, His mercy is immense, and His solutions are wiser than anything we can imagine. Worry fades when we understand that every event, every delay, every challenge, and every blessing is part of His perfect plan. So, when worry begins to creep into your mind and heart, remind yourself, worry weakens the heart, but reliance strengthens it. Anxiety may cloud your vision, but trust clears it. Fear may paralyze your actions, but tawakkul empowers them. Every problem, every trial, every difficulty you face is already within the knowledge of Allah, and every solution is already in motion, even if you cannot see it. Let your heart rest in Him. Place your reliance fully upon Him. Work with sincerity, pray with devotion, and leave the results to Allah. In this way, your soul finds peace and worry no longer holds dominion over your life. Trials in life are inevitable, and every person will face moments of difficulty, loss, confusion, and hardship. Yet the way we perceive these trials determines how they shape us. Many people see trials as punishments, as burdens they must bear without purpose, or as obstacles that unfairly interrupt their plans. But in reality, trials are invitations, divine invitations, to return to Allah, to reconnect with Him, and to strengthen our hearts in ways that ease and prosperity cannot. Life is not meant to be a smooth path free from challenges. It is meant to be a journey in which our hearts are polished, our faith is tested, and our character is refined. Every trial no matter how painful, carries a lesson, an opportunity, and a hidden blessing. When a difficulty enters your life, it is easy to feel abandoned, to ask, why me? Or why now? But these questions assume that hardship is inherently negative. In truth, hardship has the potential to be profoundly transformative. Trials force us to confront our weaknesses, our fears, and our reliance on the material world. They expose where our hearts have grown attached to comfort, control, or human approval rather than to Allah. When faced with these challenges, a believer is called to turn inward, to reflect, and to seek Allah's guidance. A trial may shake us, but it also has the power to strengthen us when we respond with patience, perseverance, and trust. One of the reasons trials are so vital is that they remind us of our dependence on Allah. Human beings often take their strength, their resources, and their abilities for granted. We plan, strategize, and strive, and we forget that every breath, every opportunity, and every success comes from Him. When a trial strikes, it disrupts our illusions of self-sufficiency. We realize that we cannot control everything, that some outcomes are beyond our grasp, and that our only true refuge is Allah. This realization, though sometimes uncomfortable, is a mercy. It teaches humility, dependence, and sincerity, qualities that cannot be cultivated in uninterrupted ease. Trials also serve as a means to elevate the soul. They refine our intentions, remove hypocrisy, and cultivate sincerity in worship. When everything is easy, it is tempting to worship Allah out of habit, routine, or social expectation. But when life becomes difficult, worship transforms into a lifeline. Dua becomes heartfelt, prayer becomes sincere, and remembrance of Allah becomes necessary. Trials awaken the spiritual heart, bringing a depth of connection that comfort alone cannot achieve. They remind us that life's ultimate purpose is not comfort or ease, but closeness to Allah and preparation for the eternal life to come. Another aspect of trials is that they are temporary tests with permanent lessons. Pain may be fleeting, but the strength, patience, and faith we gain from enduring hardship remain. Every difficulty survived leaves a mark on the heart, teaching resilience, empathy, and gratitude. A person who has faced trials with patience develops a perspective that others cannot easily acquire. They begin to see the world not only in terms of ease and success, but in terms of purpose, wisdom, and divine planning. Trials train the heart to accept the unpredictability of life without despair, to trust in Allah's wisdom even when outcomes are unclear, and to find contentment in obedience rather than circumstances. It is also important to recognize that trials are not arbitrary, they are tailored to the individual. Allah knows our capacities, our vulnerabilities, and our strengths. Every trial is suited to the person facing it, designed to teach exactly what they need to learn. What may seem trivial to one person could be life-altering for another, and what overwhelms one person might be a mere stepping stone for someone else. This personal tailoring is evidence of Allah's deep mercy, even when His wisdom is not immediately apparent. Our struggles are not meaningless. They are meaningful parts of a plan designed to bring us closer to Him. The attitude we adopt toward trials shapes their impact. A trial approached with despair and resentment hardens the heart and leaves lasting scars of frustration and bitterness. A trial approached with patience, trust, and a sincere effort to return to Allah softens the heart, strengthens faith, and cultivates gratitude. Patience is not merely waiting, it is a dynamic response of faith that accepts the decree of Allah while continuing to act righteously and maintain hope. Those who endure with patience often find that Allah replaces their hardship with ease, rewards their perseverance, and elevates their rank in ways that cannot be measured in worldly terms. Trials also connect us with others in ways that ease alone cannot. Struggles teach empathy, compassion, and understanding. When we face difficulty, we become more sensitive to the pain of others, more willing to help, and more humble in our interactions. Our own experiences of hardship allow us to console, guide, and support those who are struggling. Through this, trials create a ripple effect of goodness, building stronger communities, deeper bonds, and hearts aligned with mercy. It is crucial to remember that every trial carries a dual purpose. It is both a test and a gift. The discomfort, loss, or challenge is the test. The growth, faith, and refinement are the gifts hidden within it. Even when we cannot see the lesson immediately, it is present. Life's difficulties are like a sculptor's chisel, slowly shaping the raw stone into a refined masterpiece. Without pressure, friction, and effort, the stone remains rough. Similarly, without trials, our hearts remain untested, unpolished, and unprepared for the eternal life that awaits. So when a trial comes, instead of despairing, recognize it as an invitation from Allah to turn back to Him, to reflect and to grow. Do not focus solely on the pain, but look for the lessons, the hidden blessings, and the spiritual opportunities it brings. Trust that Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has placed it in your path for a purpose that may only be clear in the fullness of time. Respond with patience, faith, and obedience. Your trials are not a punishment. They are a pathway to purification, closeness to Allah, and a stronger, wiser, and more resilient heart. By embracing this perspective, you transform hardship into a means of spiritual elevation, and the difficulties of this world become stepping stones toward eternal success. The reality that your dua is working even when you see no change is one of the most profound truths of faith, yet it is one of the hardest to internalize. Human beings are naturally impatient. We want immediate results, tangible outcomes, and visible signs that our efforts are fruitful. When we call upon Allah, when we whisper our deepest desires in prayer, and when we place our hearts before Him, we often expect the response to arrive instantly, clearly, and in the way we imagined. And when it does not, our hearts can grow heavy, our minds can question, and our faith can be tested. But the truth is that dua is never wasted. It is never ignored. Every plea, every whisper, every tearful request is heard by the one who knows the seen and the unseen, and its effects are already unfolding, whether or not we can perceive them in the moment. It is important to understand that dua does not always result in what we expect, because Allah's wisdom is infinitely greater than ours. We may pray for something thinking it is the best for us, but Allah knows the full scope of our lives, the unseen consequences, and the ultimate outcomes. What we perceive as an immediate solution may not be the true solution. What we imagine as a blessing may not be beneficial in the long term. By delaying, redirecting, or even denying what we request, Allah ensures that what we ultimately receive aligns with our best interests, our spiritual growth, and His wisdom. Even when the dua does not appear to change circumstances, it is shaping us, refining our intentions, and drawing us closer to Him. Every dua carries multiple layers of effect. Some effects are visible and immediate, while others are subtle, spiritual, and unseen. For example, a heartfelt dua softens the heart, strengthens faith, increases patience, and purifies intentions. Even if your situation does not appear to improve instantly, your dua has already impacted your soul. It has drawn you nearer to Allah, reminded you of your dependence on Him, and deepened your humility. These outcomes may not be tangible in the physical world, but they are immensely valuable. They are shaping your character, fortifying your patience, and preparing you to receive the ultimate blessings at the right time. Another layer of the power of dua is that it sets events in motion beyond our perception. The moment we ask Allah, unseen mechanisms begin to align. Hearts may be influenced, circumstances may shift, and people may be guided in ways we cannot see. The unseen world is far more complex and interconnected than we realize, and our dua interacts with it in ways beyond our comprehension. Just because we do not witness immediate results does not mean that nothing is happening. There are forces at work orchestrated by Allah that respond to our prayers in ways that will only be revealed in His perfect timing. Patience is therefore a vital companion to dua. The test of our faith often lies not in the act of asking itself, but in trusting that Allah has heard, has understood, and is responding in the way that is best. When dua is paired with patience, the heart becomes content and hopeful, rather than anxious and despairing. Every delay, every pause, every moment of seeming silence is part of Allah's plan to teach resilience, reliance, and trust. A person who prays and waits with sincerity is not passive. They are actively participating in the divine process by refining their heart and strengthening their connection with Allah. It is also crucial to recognize that dua is a form of worship, and like all worship, it carries intrinsic value regardless of immediate outcomes. When we turn to Allah, we acknowledge His power, His mercy, and our dependence upon Him. This act in itself elevates the believer spiritually. Our dua is recorded by angels, cherished by Allah, and its spiritual weight is immense. Every plea for guidance, relief, or provision is an opportunity to demonstrate sincerity, humility, and reliance. Even if the world seems unchanged, the believer's relationship with Allah deepens, creating a lasting impact that extends far beyond the temporal world. There is also a profound lesson in the unseen nature of dua. By not immediately revealing the outcomes of our prayers, Allah encourages us to place our trust in Him rather than in visible signs. This builds a faith that is strong, resilient, and independent of circumstances. When we see results instantly, our faith may become conditional on outcomes. But when we continue to pray, hope, and trust despite delays or uncertainties, our hearts develop a deeper reliance on Allah, one that is rooted in certainty of His mercy rather than the fluctuation of worldly events. Furthermore, the delay or absence of visible change allows us to refine our intentions and desires. Often, we ask for things in haste, without complete awareness of their consequences or our true needs. By holding back the fulfillment of our requests, Allah allows time for reflection, wisdom, and alignment with what is genuinely best for us. During this period, our dua becomes purer, our intentions clearer, and our gratitude more profound when the answer finally arrives. Ultimately, understanding that dua is always working transforms the way we live. It teaches us patience, humility, reliance, and hope. It assures us that Allah is fully aware of our struggles, that He is listening, and that He is responding in ways beyond our vision. Every tear, every whispered plea, every earnest supplication is part of a divine dialogue between the servant and the Creator, one that carries eternal significance. Even when the world appears unchanged, the unseen effects of our dua are at work, shaping our hearts, guiding circumstances, and preparing the best outcomes in perfect timing. So continue to pray with sincerity, continue to ask with hope, and continue to trust even when no change is apparent. Your dua is alive, your plea is heard, and the one who knows everything is already working on your behalf. Remain patient, keep faith, and watch as the unseen blessings unfold in His perfect time. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools a human heart can possess. Yet it is often overlooked in the busyness and challenges of life. When we focus on fear, anxiety, or worry, our minds fixate on what could go wrong, on what we lack, or on what we wish were different. This focus magnifies the weight of our problems, clouds our vision, and makes even small challenges seem overwhelming. On the other hand, when we deliberately shift our attention to gratitude, our perspective changes. Gratitude illuminates the blessings we already possess, balances the scales of hardship, and softens the heart. It is an active choice, a conscious redirection of attention, and a spiritual practice that lightens the burden of fear while drawing us closer to Allah. Gratitude reminds us of the countless favors that surround us, often unnoticed. Each day is filled with opportunities, sustenance, protection, and mercy that we rarely acknowledge. The air we breathe, the ability to see, walk, or communicate, the roof over our heads, the food we consume, and the people who care for us are all signs of Allah's mercy. When we focus on what is lacking or what could go wrong, we blind ourselves to these gifts. By cultivating gratitude, we train our hearts to notice what is already given, which provides comfort, reassurance, and a sense of stability. Even in times of difficulty, recognizing these blessings reminds us that Allah has never abandoned us and that His mercy continues to surround us. Gratitude also serves as a shield against fear and anxiety. Worry grows when we feel powerless or uncertain, when our focus is on what might happen rather than what is. But when we turn to gratitude, we redirect our hearts toward what is within our awareness and control. The countless ways Allah has already provided for us and protected us. The more we reflect on His blessings, the less room there is for fear to dominate our thoughts. Gratitude strengthens our faith, because it reminds us that the one who has been so merciful in the past will continue to be merciful in the future. Our focus shifts from what is missing to what is present, from uncertainty to assurance, from despair to hope. An essential aspect of gratitude is that it transforms our relationship with hardship. Trials, difficulties, and delays are an inevitable part of life, but gratitude allows us to see them in context. It does not negate pain, but it frames it within a broader understanding of Allah's wisdom and care by counting our blessings. Even amidst struggles, we recognize that difficulties are not absolute, that mercy coexists with trials, and that every challenge carries a hidden lesson or benefit. Gratitude softens the heart toward patience, encourages reliance on Allah, and prevents despair from taking root. When we are grateful, we learn to navigate hardship with resilience and faith rather than fear and frustration. Gratitude also cultivates contentment. One of the reasons fear and anxiety are so powerful is that they stem from dissatisfaction, a constant desire for what we do not have or what we fear losing. By practicing gratitude, we acknowledge that our lives already contain immense value and blessings. This acknowledgement fosters a sense of contentment, reduces the grip of fear, and builds inner peace. Contentment does not mean passivity or lack of ambition. It means recognizing that our ultimate well-being is not tied to immediate outcomes or external circumstances, but to our trust in Allah and our appreciation for His ongoing mercy. The act of gratitude is not limited to feelings alone. It manifests in words, actions, and relationships. When we express thanks to Allah through dua, prayer, or remembrance, we reinforce the recognition of His continuous care. When we show appreciation to others, we cultivate harmony, compassion, and positive energy in our communities. Gratitude expressed through action strengthens both our spiritual and social lives, creating cycles of kindness, generosity, and blessing. Each act of acknowledgement, no matter how small, is a reflection of a heart attuned to Allah's grace and a life lived in mindful recognition of His mercy. Another profound dimension of gratitude is that it opens doors for more blessings. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that those who are thankful are multiplied in favor. Gratitude is not merely recognition of what is already given, it is also an invitation for further provision. When we are thankful, we demonstrate trust, humility, and acknowledgement of Allah's care, which in turn draws even more mercy into our lives. Conversely, ingratitude, focusing on what is lacking or worrying excessively, can obscure blessings, create discontent, and make hardships feel heavier than they are. By embracing gratitude, we realign our hearts with the divine flow of mercy and abundance. Gratitude also reshapes our mindset toward the unknown. Fear thrives in uncertainty because the human mind struggles to cope with what cannot be controlled or predicted. Gratitude, however, shifts the focus from what might go wrong to the countless signs of Allah's provision that have already sustained us. When we look back at our lives, we realize that countless events that seemed uncertain or frightening at the time were resolved with divine wisdom, often in ways far better than we imagine. Gratitude trains the mind to trust in Allah's knowledge, timing, and care, reducing the power of fear and uncertainty over our hearts. Ultimately, gratitude is both a practice and a state of heart. It requires conscious effort, reflection, and intention, especially in moments of difficulty. But as it grows, it transforms our perception of life. Fear diminishes, patience strengthens, trust in Allah deepens, and the heart becomes a sanctuary of peace even amidst challenges. By replacing fear with gratitude, we recognize that every hardship carries a lesson, every delay carries a mercy, and every blessing, big or small, is a manifestation of Allah's ongoing care. Life becomes not just a series of challenges to endure, but a journey of divine signs, mercies, and opportunities for spiritual growth. So focus on the blessings that surround you, give thanks for what you have, and acknowledge the mercy that has been with you all along. Let gratitude illuminate your heart, ease your fears, and guide you to a life of faith, trust, and serenity. In doing so, you will find that the weight of anxiety is lifted, the burden of worry is lightened, and the heart experiences the peace that comes only from recognizing Allah's continuous generosity and care.